of the world. In the second, one of his small group, Elizabeth Hitchener, talks about what has brought her here. And in the final piece, Lord Sidmouth himself gives his views. We then come bang up to date with our fourth film by artist Rolf Bakker, which explores themes of surveillance, both personal and environmental. And our final piece is Tell Not Show, a reading by Peter White from Jan Wolf's collection Stormlight. You can watch other Riversmeet shorts and monologues on our website, and also find information on our slow reading courses. Links in the description below. We hope you enjoy the films.
I believed in a mighty future to come, when truth and beauty are bedfellows, and those of us who would speak the truth do not have to speak of ugliness and deformity. We are the many, though too few of us know it. Too few of the many. And so, first of all, we must acknowledge the presence of this grave and mighty juggernaut that is. That great shining presence, on whose visage the sun glitters, but in whose shadow lie the crushed, over whom this terrible machine has passed. They stand amazed before the countenance. It is only when their bones are shattering beneath its feet do they come to comprehend that the face is nothing but a seductive masquerade. They go to their ends crying, "Why us? Why us? We never thought this would happen to us." The paradox, then, is that we must pass through monstrosity to reach beauty. Not merely touching pitch, but plunging our hands into it. Work it under our fingernails, so we might better see it, and so know the means to wash this dark presence from the world.
There is, in Lewes, a bookseller, much reviled in the town for his printing of the works of Tom Paine, but also much regarded as a useful idiot for his knowledge of the printed word beyond Lewes. He saw me, one day, looking in at his window, called to me to come into the shop. Even then I knew enough not to cross the threshold. I told him if he wished to speak with me, it must be in the light of day. He came out to me, in the street. Bending his knees so that his face was before mine, he asked, did I like the covers of the books? I answered that I much preferred what was within the covers. He asked me then, could I read? I replied that simply because I was small, simply because I was a girl, that was no reason for him to be so rude. Astonished as he was by my words, he laughed, then apologised for laughing, and then apologised for his presumption. He asked me, could he make amends by giving me a book, whatever I would like from his shop? How could I know what I would like? I told him I had taught myself to read and write so that no man would steal from me, as they stole from my father. He asked me, did I like poems? To which I replied that poems were for fine ladies, and I was not a fine lady. He answered me that I was wrong on 2 counts. Poetry is for us all, and I was already a very fine lady indeed.
Now, obviously, as a Minister of State, as Home Secretary, it is my duty to preserve the safety of the nation, and to do that by ensuring that subversives, such as these, are watched carefully. That is the function of my office. So I'm not being nosy, not in a conventional sense. I am not being nosy, not in a conventional sense. When I have the letters steamed open and read in the post office at Barnstable, this is no more than business as usual. Yet when it is one of ours, I want more than the usual. I mean, with the others, it is obvious. Jealousy, envy, disappointment teetering into anger and into beyond, to rage. But this one, this Percy, this Bish, this Shelley, this gilded youth, he could have been. He had every chance from the moment he entered the world to be one of us. And when one of ours fails, I need to gaze into his heart, need to hear the whisper of the blood in his veins, the gasp of his spunk. I need to smell the warm air of his little farts when he shits. I need to taste the spit when he licks an envelope to steal it shut. I need to see the paper on which his private words, his secret words, had been written, to feel the rustle between my fingers. What he needs, I think, it seems, is just a gentle reminder of what the law, as it stands, can do to him, should it wish. The law. My anonymous friend. I mean, of course, what I and my rather more corporeal friends can do with the law as it stands. And what we can do, if we so wish, to change that law. So that what might he think of as his rights can become, in the blink of an eye, late one evening when no one is looking, at the very best, a privilege, which I allow him as and when. And as and when I can take away. With a little flick of my wrist when it's just holding a pen. Not even a hand on his shoulder. A gentle reminder for one of ours. And if that is not enough, little pigs, let me come in. Little pigs, let me come in. Come into your minds and into your hearts. Little pigs, let me come in. Little pigs, let me come in. Or I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in. Little pigs, let me come in. Or I'll huff and I'll puff and I'll blow your house in. Down.
By Farringdon Station, my tripod tall and erect, I cough and weep. Thick dust clouds, nocturnal emissions of millions of tiny particles, come down like falling stars, penetrating the lungs of 1,000 unknowing strangers. I watch while my camera records as powdery grey toxic waste is casually deposited into the black of night. What is it I breathe in every day? By Farringdon, by Euston, by Waterloo. What colour? My lungs. What colour? My lungs. What colour? My lungs. What colour? My lungs.
Tell, Not Show by Jan Wolfe. He raises off the last bit of stubble, careful not to nick the folds of his jowl, and then wiggles his jaw this way and that, stroking his bristly grey moustache. Not bad for 79, he tells the mirror. Good head of hair, too. Time for the meds. A statin, glucosamine, vitamin C and D, magnesium, and something for his anxiety. Not that he ever talks about that. Happy this morning and recently back from Blighty, where he'd cast his vote for the next Prime Minister, a shoo-in his East Devon Conservative Association had assured him. He'd slept well and had had a good bowel movement before his breakfast of Wheaties and a cup of tea. Dressed in his favourite mustard shirt, pressed jeans and canvas sneakers, he checks his watch. 10:45 on the dot. Time for coffee. He leaves the bathroom and walks along the passage to the front door of his bijou ground floor apartment, nodding to the portrait of his late lady wife on the way. "Morning, dear," he greets the tight-lipped, red-haired woman, straightening the frame a little. He does this most mornings unless she had sent him a bad dream, one where she's telling him what to do. Again. She'd have hated it here. Too hot. Not enough to occupy her, so she'd have been very embarrassing on the sangria front. But his bereavement's all done and dusted, tempered by the insurance payout, and he could afford to buy this second home outright, leaving the Exmouth Hotel in the trusted hands of his maître d', a Spaniard. But all that free movement is going to stop under Boris, and about time too. He tops his head with a white straw hat, the front artfully angled to shadow his eyes against the sunlight. Closing his front door, he winds his way down the lane towards the seafront and his favourite cafe, Darley Dally's, run by his old friend June from Tiverton. He likes June, salt of the earth, but not wife material or any kind of companion really, what with her bulges and blue hair. Like him, she's one of the few expat Brits in the exclusive Spanish resort of Cadaqués, or immigrants, as a lout had called him only the other day. He walks on down the narrow lane, passing various hipsters and weirdos spoiling the view. "What you need here is a law-abiding bojo," he tells a passing hipster. "Okay?" He turns the corner, facing the turquoise sea, and there, on the left, is Darley Dally's. Its outside tables and chairs in full sun, so no one's sitting on them. Very few locals use it, but he and some tourists enjoy its indulgence in the local art legend Salvador Dali. The walls are covered in the mustachioed surrealists' reproductions, even though the real thing could be seen at Dali's house and studio a mile up the hill. Arty types were often to be seen tramping up there when all they needed to do was sit in June's cafe and enjoy the pictures in comfort. Some of his pictures were even on the placemats, and June had a knack of making twirly foam moustaches on top of her café con leche. He peers through the window, sighing with pleasure at the thought of a cup of June's weak coffee and a slice of her Victoria sponge. But what's this? A man peering back at him, sitting at his table under the air conditioning unit. Oh well. Free world, he says, a little too loudly, as he strides in, sitting at the table next to the interloper, even though there's no one else in the cafe. Must be British, he thinks, looking the man up and down, noting that he's wearing socks with his sandals. Probably 60 of a day, but hard to tell under the suntan and the beard. He's wearing a T-shirt saying, "No passeran." No, he thinks. They shall not pass, these bloody lefties. Looks like a decent sort of bloke, though, despite the string bracelet. Good morning, June. Usual, please. He tells the plump woman in white trousers and a T-shirt sporting an over-lurid version of Dali's painting The Burning Giraffe. Right you are, babe, nods June. And you, sir? She serves the man at his table, babe, noting with pleasure that he's being served first. Oh, an Americano and a croissant, por favor, says the stranger. Do you have almond? Only ordinary, sir, says June. Oh, there's her splendid Victoria sponge, interrupts Babe, wishing June wouldn't call him that in public. Ordinary croissant will be fine, says the man, picking up a book. Babe's eyes slide to the cover. Project Inner Peace by Guy Linklater. The only self-help book he's ever read, and only then because it was by a Devon man. The hero's journey from Totnes via various far-flung locations and the panic attacks they had induced and back to Totnes had intrigued him. Pip, pip, he wants to say, Project Inner Peace. But says instead, leaning over, I notice what you're reading, sir. Fascinating. Ah, says the man, shutting the book. May I join you, Brit to Brit? Sure. The man puts out his hand. I'm Guy Linklater. Good God, not the Guy Link. Yes. Cecil Fealty, he says, grinning vigorously, shaking the offered hand. The book lay between them on the table, its job done. What fetches you to this neck of the woods, Mr. Linklater? I'm looking for a hotel, and it's Guy. Guy, sighs Cyril with deep pleasure. Well, you'll find plenty in the hometown of El Maestro. He waves his hand at the Dali reproductions on the wall, and thumping June just arrived with a tray of coffees and cakes. Guy's face clouds. He was a filthy fascist. Here you are, me dearios, says June, laying out their cups and plates, looking as if she wants to join them. Cyril orders an omelette. Cheese or mushroom, babe? Cyril, snaps Cyril. Bit of each, please, he adds, waving her off, taking a sip of coffee. Then, leaning towards Guy, flecks of cafe con leche on his top lip, says with a knowing nod, Great artist, though. The League of Cyrilists threw him out for supporting Franco, says Guy. Oh, I knew that, says Cyril, sitting bolt upright. Secretly, he quite admired Franco, liked his sense of order. You knew what was what with Franco, but he also knew he wasn't supposed to say so, not around these parts anyway. And his work is quite adolescent, adds Guy. Franco's? No. Oh, quite. Dali, yes, but a great, draftsman, says Cyril, pointing at a lurid reproduction of the melting watch hanging in the alcove. And a disgusting human being, adds Guy, dipping his croissant into his Americano. Anal. Sorry? Over-meticulous brushwork, constrained feeling. But that's the paintings, not the man, says Cyril, pleased with his own sophistry. The paintings reflect the man, Cyril. Right. Cyril would like June to reappear as a distraction, but knows she's cooking the omelette. Maybe even had to go to the supermercado for mushrooms. So, Guy, what's your next book now that you found Inner Peace? Pip, pip, he says, flicking his fingers for quote marks. I think I only had one book in me, says Guy. I want to start running creative writing workshops. I've seen an old hotel up the hill. El Viento, by any chance, says Cyril. It means the wind. Yes, I know, Cyril. I've made an offer, but I need a hotelier. Cyril's eyes grow large. All those unemployed locals who didn't get away. All those divorced or widowed middle-aged lady would-be novelists. Surely one among them he can enjoy a meal and a bottle of Chianti with of an evening, who might even pick up the bill. I'm your man, he says. And I do believe there's a book in me too. Yes, says Guy. I'm sure there is. What will you call your workshops? Show, not tell, Cyril. Pardon? Show, not tell's all the rage these days, says Guy. I read it in The Guardian. All the rage, repeats Cyril, resisting a stab at The Guardian, but not at the Victoria Sponge. That could be a good title for my own memoirs, he says, wiping Spanish strawberry jam from his chin. If I were ever to write them... you mean memoir, Cyril? Singular. Important people write memoirs, don't they? Says Cyril, thinking of the next Prime Minister. Boris hasn't written his, only one of Churchill, but Boris will have his work cut out. I wonder, says Guy. Yes? Says Cyril, sensing his opportunity. Memoir writing, says Guy. We need a brand. How about Do or Die, says Cyril. No. No ifs, no buts. No. Come what may? No. They stare for a few seconds at the reproduction of swans reflecting elephants hanging askew beyond the cash till, next to a photo of Dali twirling his moustache, eyes popping. I've got it, says Guy. Tell, not show. Terrific! I knew we'd hit it off, says Cyril. I'll be your hotelier. We'll get all the right people, advertise in the Mail. I'll start the business plan. He snaps his fingers. June, please join us. Never mind about the omelette.